very prayerful lady, and she said, you know, when I turned 90, I started a new prayer. I said, oh yeah, what's that? She said, Lord, if I complain about anything today, please ignore me. And when you look around, you can understand why she was saying that. Because with all her aches and pains and inability to see clearly and whatnot, going with a walker and sometimes in a wheelchair, she knew somebody else was in worse shape than she was. And so I started saying the same prayer. Remember it, Lord, if I complain about anything today, please ignore me. And it'll help greatly. Because that little slice of the cross, that little sliver of the cross that each one of us gets, our own, they're not the same, they're all different. Those are the things that are these special gifts from God. And if we carry those the way we're supposed to, we will live a full life and we will be that shining example to everybody else. And it isn't easy. I remember when I was a kid in high school, a preacher came in and he said, it ain't easy, Charlie. And I remember that from that day to this, a long time ago. I won't tell you how many years, but a long time ago. Right, there were horses and wagons on my street delivering the loaf and bread, you get that? And the younger people said there was never any horses. And yes, there were. They brought the ice, too, for our ice boxes, because we didn't have refrigerators. What's an ice box? It's a thing that looks like a refrigerator with a big space in the top where they put ice, a big block of ice. And then it melted, and you had a pan underneath it. You had to make sure you emptied the water as the ice melted. And when you went to buy something that was refrigerated, you ate it the same day. Because it wouldn't be ice cream. You come in with a barrel of ice cream, you ate it right away, because it won't be around tomorrow. So I tell this to the young interns, and they think, oh my God, whoa, where did they get the ice? Well, they cut it, in my area, they cut it on Lake Simcoe. And they transport it by horse and wagon down to Lake Simcoe Ice and Fuel on Gerrard Street in Toronto. They housed it in this huge warehouse with very thick walls, and they had rubber tarpaulins over the ice, and they had sawdust and whatnot. And if you were a kid and you were dying of the heat, and the iceman came up the street, you weren't looking for the chips on the back. And your mother would say, don't eat that, it came out of the lake. You say, well, good Lord, tastes pretty good to me. All of these little things we can't forget. The peace of sitting alone, somewhere, anywhere, not reading, not listening, just looking at the things that God's created will help us to reconnect with our Creator. And I think that's really important that we remember that. No one has the right to kill another innocent human being. Well, let's come up with legislation that says, no killing after so many weeks. No. Don't you understand that you can't sell the lives of innocent children in order to get your legislation? In Britain, 25 years ago, John Smeaton, who's now the executive director of SPUC, the Society for Protection of Unborn Children, he went along with a piece of gestational legislation. And it said that no killing after 24 weeks. I think that's where it started. And he went along and thought that was good. And then they brought in all the exceptions, except for the life and health, rape and incest and whatever. Soon they're just killing them left, right, and center at every single excuse. Now in Britain, they want to roll it back to 20 weeks, except that there's a larger and a louder voice saying no restrictions whatsoever. Kill them anytime. They're only blobs of tissue and collections of cells. That's what Morgenthaler said in the beginning, until he could no longer say that because students knew, hey, wait a minute, that's not true. It's a unique human being from the time of conception. We have to make sure that we do not lose sight of the very basics. You may not kill, you can't kill. With the chemical abortions, you can have a restriction of 24 weeks or 20 weeks or 16 weeks and it won't matter a darn, because they'll all be dead by then. And they'll be dead because we haven't all gotten together and said, okay, I'm going to go and talk to my pastor and say, why haven't you ever given us a homily or a sermon on this? In my church, a woman, after Quebec made their decision about assisted suicide, she said, oh, is the Catholic Church against assisted suicide and euthanasia? And I said, yeah. She said, I've been in this church for 9 years and never heard a sermon against it. They're against the church is against abortion too, isn't it, in most cases? I said, no, in all cases it's opposed. So you can imagine my shock when my parish priest said, could you come in and talk to me for a minute about abortion and euthanasia? And he said, I don't know anything about them. And so I began for 45 minutes teaching him about the issues, and he thanked me very much. I tried to get into St. Augustine Seminary in Toronto to talk to the seminarians for the last 40 years, and I've been denied permission every time I ask. Right. Well, Mr. Hughes, we're focusing on refugees this year, so we don't want you to confuse the seminarians by talking about these other issues. What? So I went to Paul Tuns at the interim newspaper. I said, hey, what about an editorial cartoon showing a baby in the womb with the sign saying, can I be a refugee?
Yeah, exactly.
Remember that? Did anybody see that? It was in the interim, there it was, can I be a refugee? Because it's absurd to not think of the babies and the elderly at risk and don't think they compete with refugees. We're all in the same boat together, everything. Anyway, I got a whole list of things that was suggested that I talk about today. I haven't even talked about any of them. But there's still some cookies here and whatnot. Am my time up yet?
No, 10 minutes.
I got 10 more minutes.
Am I right? 5.
So I have 5 more minutes.
Five if you're
Okay.
taking questions.
Pardon me?
5 if you're taking questions.
Okay, well, I just want to see what they said it was so important. You know the legislation that was passed that said that instead of having a mother and father on the birth certificates now up to 4 parents? No mother and father on birth certificates anymore in Ontario. You know that in the fall, they want to remove the gender from your driver's license. Yep. Absolutely. Just absolutely crazy. One of our people went to adopt. He's adopted 2 children, so they bring in the heavy guns and say, where do you stand on all of this, the LGBT stuff? And he said, well, I'm not in favor of it all. Well, you're ineligible to adopt. Yeah, because even your children that are there, if one of them says and tells somebody else that they feel like they're a transgendered person, etc., if you don't agree with them, or if you try to seek treatment for them, you could lose your child. The government could come in and take that child. Oh, Mr. Hughes, that's not right. You know, this is like me talking to the church leaders 25 years ago after John Paul the Great had invited us to go to the United Nations because he was fearful at what was happening with the non-governmental organizations, the NGOs. They were pushing for abortion as an international human right and for a recognition of over 30 different genders.